Hi, welcome back to GradGirlRambles. It's Brianna here with another video about APPIC. So my last video about APPIC was about me matching in phase 2, and I talked a lot about my experience going through phase 2 and what that was like, kind of going through the process by yourself, where you just kind of gone through it with your cohort mates, other friends, and doctoral programs. But I wanted to kind of condense this video into the do's and don'ts of phase 2 and just share some things that I kind of touched on before, but just kind of give some quick little things of like what was helpful and what was not. So the first thing I would say is do lean on your support system. Like I said, phase 2 can be very isolating and it can be very easy to kind of keep to yourself, but you are going to need all the support that you can, because it is it's a process that no one talks about. It's very it's kind of like nebulous experience. People don't talk about it because there's a lot of, guilt, shame, embarrassment when you go through it. So people who've gone through it before don't necessarily talk about it, and then your programs aren't going to talk about it because they don't want you to go through this process assuming that you're going to go into phase 2. So leaning on your support system, whether that's your cohort mates, the people who matched in phase 1. For me, my friends who matched in phase 1 were a huge support system for me because they understood the experience to an extent, but they were able to kind of push me through that next phase. In that same vein, I would say don't self-isolate. It is very easy to do that when you know you're going to be going through something alone. And the difficult thing about phase 2 is that it is so fast that if you self-isolate, you're going to be feeling a lot of frustration, maybe some depression, some anxiety, and it's probably just not like a good space to be in, and it's really not going to serve you well. So being able to still kind of do the things that keep you productive and moving forward are going to be really helpful. The second do is a hard one because it was hard for me to remember that not matching in phase 1 was not a personal failure. The APPIC process is essentially a numbers game. There's this algorithm that we talk about, and when you look at the numbers of people who don't match in phase 1 compared to those who do, it feels really crappy, and it's hard to remember that it's not because you didn't have good applications, it's not because you didn't give good interviews. It's a reminder that there are a lot of positions, yes, but there are also probably a lot of people applying to the positions that you're interested in. And at the end of the day, they only have so many spots to fill. And the reality is that hundreds, I think it was over 1,000? I don't remember, but at least hundreds of highly qualified applicants do not match in phase 1. And a lot of people kept saying like, oh, a lot of great applicants fall through the cracks, which again, it doesn't feel great to fall between the cracks of an algorithm, but it happened. And with that, I would also say don't take things personally if you see places you applied to with unfilled positions. So when I didn't match, I looked at who was available in phase 2, and I saw one of the sites that I had ranked had several unfilled positions, and in my mind I was like, so they didn't rank me. They didn't rank me, and that's why I don't have a match. And so I went through this like spiral of not being able to understand why they wouldn't rank me, what happened, and it wasn't helpful at all. So don't do that, and don't let that get in the way of you trying out again. So I did reapply for that site because I did feel, at least to me, I felt that the training experience is something that I wanted, and I felt like it was a good fit for me. I don't know if they felt that way, and at the end of the day, I actually don't know that they didn't rank me. Sometimes when people say you fall through cracks, they literally mean the algorithm mixed up So it's very possible that they did rank me and I literally slid through the cracks. So don't get in your head about that, because it does not serve you and it wastes energy and time. The third do would be to talk with your DCT about what your options are moving forward. I would even say this is first. Well, no. Do the other things, but see what your options are. In my program, we were all required to go through the APPIC process. And what that means is, in our handbook, it specifically states we must go through the APPIC process. It doesn't say that we have to secure an APA accredited internship. Now, there are a lot of different opinions and a lot of different feelings about APA accreditation for internships. And as I mentioned, or I don't even know if I mentioned in my last video, the site that I matched at is actually not APA accredited. And I had a very hard time deciding whether or not I would apply. And then when I got interviewed and I really liked the site, I was struggling with where I would rank it, because everyone talks about how you need APA accreditation. And when you talk to your DCT about what your options are, see what they say, one, that follows your program's guidelines, but also talk to them about your future career. Obviously, phase 2 is very quick, so you don't have time for like this whole spiel of what you want your life to be. But seeing, one, do I have to go through APPIC phase 2? Is that what I have to do now that I have not matched in phase 1? Maybe, maybe not. Can I apply to some internships that don't go through the APPIC process? There are a lot of them. There are some of them out there that don't use APPIC, and some of those are also APA accredited. Should I not do phase 2 and go through the post-match vacancy? I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you have to do each one. Might be an option. Or do you defer? Do you wait a year, get some more clinical experience, pad your CV, and do it over again? Those are things you should consider before you move forward in phase 2. And then the last don't goes with that. Don't put off moving forward. Because phase 2 moves so quickly, you have to make a lot of decisions very quickly. I only had 6 days to apply, and there wasn't a lot of time to do nothing. So definitely grieve and process the feelings that you have about not matching, but you can't let that stop you from moving forward. You either need to get started on those new applications or decide that you're going to take a step back and take a break. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. I've already said it in the previous video, but just wanted to have it in this like brief packaged video. I think that there's not a lot of information about phase 2. The phase 2 information comes from APPIC, or Site Grad Corner is a great resource both in phase 1 and phase 2, but there's not a lot of students, applicants who are really talking about their experiences, because it's not something you think about until you're in it. And then once you're in it, you're not thinking about talking about it with other people. But I've made peace with it. I'm happy with moving forward with my internship, and I'm very excited about it. So I feel like I'm in a good place to share it with you about my experience. But that's all I have for today, so I will catch you later.